Welcome to our Unit 2 video-based critical analysis discussion for Team 3. I'm Deidre Jean-Baptiste.
I'm Gretchen Hardy.
I'm Joshua Macumber.
For our assigned readings, we chose the 2017 Higher Education Edition and the 2017 Nordic Schools edition. Joshua, would you like to talk about some of the significant challenges impeding technology?
Sure. I looked into the solvable challenges. The solvable challenges are improving digital literacy and integrating formal and informal learning. When it comes to improving digital literacy, typically what teachers and educators can do for students is they'll help the students learn and research using academic libraries or playing more of an active role in addressing specific problems so that the student can learn and adapt and actually apply and understand what's being taught on, a tablet or a laptop or a video format. With integrating formal and informal learning being the other solvable challenge. With formal, you'll have it in the classroom. Informal, it'll be like at home or away from the school or wherever else you might be. So it'll be through other platforms with the informal learning, such as YouTube, an alternative website, or anything the students can learn there, and then they can bring it back to the classroom and talk about with the teacher what they learned, and then the teacher can apply the formal learning to all the students. That brings up to the next problem, which is more of a difficult challenge, and that's the achievement gap. Different students with different access to technologies are going to learn and bring in different forms of what they've learned back into the classroom, and what an educator can do is they can help bring them all on the same level and understand the differences and actually, close that achievement gap in the classroom.
Another challenge was digital equity. In theory, it sounds great, but it's not happening across, the United States or across the field of education. So it's a difficult challenge because how do you fix it? How do you supply the students with the technology needed, with one-to-one or even within the schools? As for the wicked challenges, there is a issue that was stated with teachers having the access to the right tools to deepen the learning that is taking place. First, you would have to figure out what are the tools that are needed and why are they needed. What is the problem, and then coming up with a solution to fix the problem that's probably said from a teacher's perspective. Then also the societal change of teachers becoming more facilitators of learning rather than what we consider the role of a teacher traditionally. And then also keeping in mind the non-tenure track instructors. Gretchen, what would you like to add for the Nordic schools?
Oh, the Nordic schools, they're very cutting edge technology. They are using, they're actually expanding digital testing. They're using summative exams for online uses now. And there's still research going on with expanding it globally. There's a big, huge push with the STEAM learning and students being more creative with things like your 3D printing. They're actually using it for discovery-based learning experiences and even assessments for some classes like social studies. There's also a big push with the makerspace, trying to get more technologies in the classrooms with that, and of course, libraries. Everything's so creative, hands-on learning experience, whatever they can get in the classroom, they're experimenting with that. They're also doing a big push with the games and gamification for part of the curriculum, where they're actually using discovery-based learning experiences with games, video games. They are even experimenting with games for like PE. Can you imagine being a teacher and not having PE? It's just like a virtual reality PE. So that's some cool technology coming down our way that's going to affect how we use technology here in America. Okay?
Very good. As for the ISTE connections, in my field and where I work right now, I believe that if teachers were collaborating or had that opportunity to collaborate on technology, we could probably be a lot more successful. Sometimes we forget that we should collaborate for not only the content that we're teaching, but also the technology implementation. Gretchen, what would you say?
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about the collaboration with parents with technology. Using Makerspace is such a fabulous way to get children engaged in discovery learning. I believe that teachers should be recording notes about their students exploring Makerspace opportunities at school, and then share with the parents what's their children's their new interest, and foster that, because they might get a new toy for Christmas that's electronic that they are really enjoying at school in Makerspace, and then they can extend their learning at home.
Very good. Joshua, what would you say?
Well, for kind of the collaborative purposes, actually, when you're kind of in more of the mainstream workforce outside of higher education and being an educator, you want your employees to be familiar with the technology. If you're a technology company, and you want them to not only just use the technology in the work, but you want to let them use it outside of work for their own purposes, such as like company cell phones or something. If you're working for Google, you would obviously want to use Google, not just at your job. You probably want to take it out of your job too and show your friends, and gets people on board, and you can collaborate using different technologies that way.
Very good. Exit tickets, which are our expanded ideas. I would say that from the Horizon report, when it stated building an infrastructure that supports technology transitions, I just would want to know, how is that feasible, especially when you consider the bonds that are in place throughout districts. Sometimes you can't get the technology, even if it's obsolete or just inefficient. It's just not that easy. So I'd want to know more as to how, and I would want to look into that myself. Joshua?
Mine would be basically kind of the assessment of the tools and the validity of them, as it talks about these challenges and solutions, and they mention tools, but what are these tools, and how effective are these going to be? They might be effective for the other problems that they think are not very solvable right now, and that'd be pretty useful to know and would probably help them the most.
Very good.
Well, mine is having to do with STEAM. The Nordic report talked a little bit, just a touching thought on developing leadership characteristics in students, because they would be trying to solve some real world problems with STEAM, but I think they're missing a component. If they're going to try to build leadership qualities in students, they need to have a Y component, thus renaming it STEAMY, so that way they would develop some leadership qualities, so that way they would care to make the world a better place in the first place, if they have a call to feel there's a need to serve and do something about it.
Very good. I believe that concludes our presentation here. Thank you for watching.